Hey gang, so just once again, if you came in a little bit late, I'd like to thank you. I get to live my my career and travel the world and have Canon sponsor me because of your support, and I can't thank you enough from my heart. It's amazing. I can't even believe what's going on. All right, rock and roll. You'll notice that every one of these pictures is in exactly the same light, right? So what does that mean for me? It means I can shoot the whole thing in manual exposure because nothing's changing. Same light, same exposure. Here's the whole crux to all of this. Meter patterns are used to determine exposure. Priority modes are used to change the variables. That's all they're doing. So why are there different meter patterns? If you look at this chart at 200 ISO, right, all of those exposures are exactly the same quantity of light hitting the capture medium. So you could choose 3200 at f4, right, or you can choose 1/100th of a second at f22. Same exposure, but it completely changes the outcome of your photograph. So the first thing you have to do looking at the scene is which combination of numbers gives me the picture the way I envision it. Is it a lot of depth of field and a slow shutter speed? Is it a really fast shutter speed? And, you know, right? That combination is all the same. You have to pick the right combination. So I came up with an acronym, and you got to embed this in your coconut. 88. Just remember 200 ISO, 88. As long as the light's coming over your shoulder and you're in full sunlight, 800th of a second at f8 will give you a perfect exposure. Then it's a matter of salt and peppering the taste. You want to show more detail on the white? Make the picture darker. You want to see more detail on the black? Make the picture lighter. But it's receiving the same incident quantity of light, which is what all these meters in your cameras are based upon. So that's what evaluative metering does, right? It takes the whole scene and analyzes it, breaks it up into 252 segments, analyzes it, and we have a bunch of algorithms that are predetermined, and it says, hey, you know what? I think based upon what is predetermined in there, we need to make the scene a little bit brighter because it's mostly white tones. And it will do it pretty well. But it's not going to do it exact, so you have to apply what's called compensation. Here's the deal. If everything in that pattern, for the most part, is basically mid-tone value, you don't have to do anything. It already is a mid-tone value. Everything's already average. All mid-tones, all mid-tones, all mid-tones, right? Every picture's perfect. Here's the deal. Now I have a little bit black on the main. That might throw the meter off a little bit. So my suggestion is fill the pattern with one tonal value, which means I'm going to shoot this line at 100 millimeters. I'm going to zoom to 640, point it at the grass. Now I'm going to get the correct meter reading. Now I'm going to zoom back out and take my picture. The fallacy is most people assume you have to meter the subject. You have to meter anything in the same light as the subject. Put that correct on the histogram, everything else falls into place. Same thing here. People say, meter off the black bear. What part of the black bear is black? Inside its ear? You have all those different tones. You can't meter off that bear. But what's consistent? What I do is I meter off the grass, and even though that's a mid-tone, I'm going to go one stop brighter because I want more detail on the black bear. What does a spot meter do? Spot meter takes whatever's in that pattern and renders it as a mid-tone value. That's the only thing it does. It doesn't tell you it's a mid-tone value, it makes it a mid-tone value. That's the dilemma for everybody. Like, well, how do I recognize what a mid-tone value is? The only way for you to do it is to do it. But there's an easy way. I'll kind of show you with reference values for a minute. All the way to the right is +3. +3, let's say for argument's sake, is white with no detail. -3 is pure black. 0 is a mid-tone value. So if I point it right at that swan, where does that swan fall? I want white with detail on the swan, +2. So if I point the spot right at the white swan, I'm not going to set the meter to 0. I'm going to set it 2 full stops above that, which will make white white. I don't care what the background is, I just perfectly metered it. And whatever's in the same light will be the same exposure. Now if I don't do anything, and I point the camera, spot meter at different things, whatever the meter says denotes how high or above or below it is from a mid-tone value. This is a mid-tone value. So your spot meter, remember I said, is going to make it a mid-tone value. Do I have to make it lighter or darker? No, you say. You are correct, sir. Now I have the top over here. What's the spot meter going to do? It's going to place it here. It doesn't belong there. Where does it belong? So you have to apply 2 stops less than the recommendation. What you're trying to do is put that value accurately on the histogram. If I go over here, the spot meter is going to say, oop, I'm going to make it a mid-tone value. It's not a mid-tone value. So all we're doing is saying The spot meter is going to take it, make it a midtone value. How much brighter or darker is it? And add or subtract that quantity of light to place that one value accurately on the histogram. So here, what I'm doing is spot metering right there at +1. Otherwise, that background will kill me. This is completely in the shade. The sun is in the background. I don't want the sun to influence the picture, so I'm going like right there, and I'm going +1. It's brighter than a midtone value. So you got to understand the tonal value, right? The meter pattern and how it works in conjunction with those priority modes. Here's the in-field workflow. The first thing I do when I get to a situation is say, what attracted me to the scene in the first place? Right? What tools do I need? What lens do I want? The next thing I say is, what's most important? Is it f-stop or shutter speed? And invariably, it's a combination of both. You can't have one without the other, right? If I can't get that combination of numbers, I raise or lower my ISO. It's exactly the same thing I do methodically, regardless of what subject I shoot. Okay, you'll hear some people tell you that they're huge proponents of having the light over your shoulder pointing directly at the subject, okay, particularly for wildlife. You can do that, but if you eliminate shadows, you take a three-dimensional world and now make it two-dimensional. My whole career as a commercial photographer was to take a three-dimensional world and make it look three-dimensional. Light illuminates, shadows define, right? That's the gig. So by just taking one step to the left, I now brought the light coming from the side. Notice the shadow on the penguin? The penguin looks like it has depth, it's round, there's texture in the sand. The picture looks three-dimensional. So we have what's called angle of incidence and angle of reflectance. If the light comes straight over my shoulder, most of the light comes straight back into the lens. Therefore, if I'm photographing a white subject, I got to make the picture a little darker. But if I move off axis and the light skips off like this, not the same quantity of light or percentage of light is going to come back into the lens. So I have to wait for the subject to orient its face back to the light source before I can take the photograph. You're always watching the light angles. I could have easily moved to the left side and shoot it with the light completely against the ram. But I didn't. I moved to the right. So now you could see the detail on the rocks. You could tell it's on a ledge. That's in Japan. I could have moved all the way to the right. But I want that translucent going through the feathers. So you're always watching your position relative to the light's position, as well as the subject's position relative to the light. So I saw when these birds were flying by, these really cool shadows. So I exposed for the snow, pushed that as far as I could so it didn't clip, which made the raven as bright as it could be. And now I have detail in the black, detail in the white, and I have everything I want. And again, if you can say to yourself, hey, I kind of got this exposure thing locked down and I can concentrate on the other stuff, life is going to be much easier for you. If you do everything in completely automated mode, the camera's using you as the tool. It's not what you want to do. You have to be able to see the picture in your mind, figure out the tools and techniques to capture that vision. And again, from the bottom of my heart, I thank all of you for coming.
Whether you're a hobbyist or a professional, B&H has the answers to your questions. Experience a world of technology at our New York City Superstore. Connect with us online or give us a call. Our staff of experts is happy to help.